There can be only one podcast, and may be the Prince of the Universe. Hi, folks. I'm Matt.
And I'm Bruce.
Whoa!
I'm getting kind of semi-regular.
How's that 120-hour work week coming?
It's coming through, you know. That's why we're doing this late at night.
Only 5 more years, 3 more months, 17. So
maybe when I can sell some of my kids for medical experiments. You know.
Yeah. I heard one of your kids actually had some success developing a app game.
Yeah. He's still working, creating a game. He's going to release it on Steam or whatever. A Sheep Lad, but he, had been working on that for a couple years now, and it's basically I don't know what the terminology the kids are using these days, but it's it's a basically Zelda 2 type game. And so what he decided to do, just to get some money, needs a new computer, and and to pay for that, he did the prequel game, Sheep Lass, about the kid's sister.
Okay.
Basically, it's a riff of The Legend of Zelda, the original. And he did a Kickstarter campaign, brought in $17,000.
Nice.
Very good. He's struggling to reach his promised date, but he's going to get there.
That's good.
That'll be coming out this summer, and we'll see how this thing goes. But he's developing a good, strong community on wherever these places that these kids hang out to sell these Kickstarter campaigns. But he got a lot of followers. He's had over 10,000 followers on X or Twitter or whatever. He's developing community and followers. So if anybody wants to follow Sheep Lass on X, Twitter or whatever, he's a fun follow if you like somebody who's kind of grouchy about people doing things. And be judgmental about other people's games.
That's great. Good for him. So we're here to talk about Godzilla -1. I will say that Dwayne, special guest, who it's been a while, but that's because he hasn't been in town. But next time he comes on, we're all doing another podcast together. But Dwayne told me about this last year. He said, "Have you seen Godzilla -1?" At the time, it was in theaters.
Yes, back in December.
And I said, "No, I have not." He went, "See it." That's all he said. Just see it. It's good. So he was a big fan. And I was like, okay. So I went. I wanted to go see it, but it was I was too busy. Too much going on. Never got a chance. It took forever to come out streaming. 6 months to be exact. And I finally got to see it. Now you saw it in theaters, right?
I did.
That is a movie to see in theaters.
Yes, it is.
It is one of, if not the, in my opinion, best Godzilla film.
Probably, yeah.
It's and I'll talk about spoilers all through this. I do like the 98, 99 Matthew Broderick Godzilla.
Gino, it's Godzilla in name only.
Yeah, it's a fun
It's a
movie.
fun giant monster movie, but it's not Godzilla.
I understand. It's Godzilla, and I do love it. So I got to go back and watch because I know it's got that 90s cheese spread all over it. Godzilla -1 is the prequel in a way to the original Godzilla.
No,
I'm assuming
you could say it's a remake. It's a redo. It's a restart. However you want to.
Like all these movies are. It is better than the Godzilla vs. Kong New Empire thing.
It's better than the new American movies.
Yes, it is much better, and it looks by far. First off, it starts off with Godzilla pre-nuclear, which was fun.
They kind of take
Smaller.
some of the origin story that they created in the 90s during the Godzilla versus King Ghidorah movie, where Godzilla was a smaller creature on the island in the Pacific.
And so they do this during World War II. Kamikaze fighter says his plane has issues. It does not. It turns out he's a coward.
He's a coward.
And he's a coward.
He's a coward. His government seeing him do something that's immoral, and but that's not the reason why. He just didn't want to die.
He just didn't want to die, and so a smaller but still large, maybe 2-story Godzilla.
Yeah, about
attacks, Really great scene.
I mean,
he's
probably
like T-Rex at this point.
watching in theaters, it's like this is the meanest Godzilla has ever been. He
Oh,
was just
yeah.
vicious,
Oh, yeah.
spiteful, hateful.
Yeah, he was an angry little lizard.
It was fantastic.
But it was really good, and the kamikaze pilot does have a chance to kill Godzilla.
But, again, how he has a chance to be heroic.
Yeah.
This time he is a coward.
He's scared
to protect himself.
Yep.
He won't risk himself to save others.
Therefore, killing off everyone on the island but one other engineer, who's going to come back into play later on.
And a great character.
This is one of 2 Godzilla movies that you actually care about the characters. I do care about Matthew Broderick's character.
This is a Godzilla movie where if you took out Godzilla, you would still have a good movie.
You are still interested in the movie. That is right. And another thing, I will say this. They stretch things out a little bit in the middle. But right as I was about to lose interest and get bored, because the Godzilla planning stage is a little long in the tooth. If I could cut and shave...
You need to watch more Godzilla movies, and then you would just appreciate
I know. If I was to cut and shave a few minutes off, it'd be that scene. But, boy, do they give you Godzilla. And it is the best CGI I have seen since Jurassic Park.
Not just in a Godzilla movie, in movies.
In movies, period. Marvel needs to hire the whole team.
Marvel needs to cut their budget
Yeah.
by about
100
90%.
million.
90%. Hire these guys.
Yeah, they do.
And then come up with way better stuff than they're doing right now.
The film looks great. It does not look cheap. I know it was made on a budget.
Yeah, I mean, it was a cheap movie by today's movie standards.
Yeah. And it looks fantastic. Without Godzilla, it looks good.
Yeah.
It's a solid-looking movie. It's not cardboard and plywood backstages here. But the other thing that they did, and it's not just one-shot scenes. They have good scenes, too.
Oh, yeah.
Good scenery. The characters are interesting. You do feel the 4 men on the fishing boat. You kind of get to know them. You kind of like them. They give you a good story. They're blowing up little mines left over. And I love the dead fish.
Yeah.
Coming up from the ocean to a sure sign that Godzilla is coming. Godzilla. This is like Jaws.
Hey, that is. I've heard many people
in a good way.
Yes,
in a good way. If Godzilla's Jaws, and it's good because Godzilla doesn't have to tear through town. He does, which is excellent too, but it's a lot of Godzilla in the water,
and which they have not done much of, and I loved it. That was some of the scenes of Godzilla following the boats are he's just creepy looking.
He's creepy, it's scary, and it looks real is the thing.
Yes.
It looks real. That's the thing. This is like when I saw Jurassic Park, I really thought they found a dinosaur. I did not know how they did this. This movie magic, so to speak. And through the years, I don't know when was the time where movies started looking really fake. And I want to say it was 10 years ago, but may have been longer. I don't know. But movies just started getting a little fake looking.
I don't know. It was after Jurassic Park because everybody tried to do that.
Yeah.
And it just looked bad.
And then it just hasn't increased that well. It hasn't gone that well. But Godzilla is like, this is how you use CGI. This is whatever they're doing. I mean, first off, the second time we see him, he's chasing after the little boat. They throw a landmine at him, which doesn't do anything. Then they throw another one that he opens his mouth. It's stuck in his mouth like a whale. Because Godzilla's got his mouth open and he's slowly moving his head back and forth. And it looks real. And, of course, this is the shot where the kamikaze pilot is a good shot.
Yeah.
So, because he was in the Army. He was a lieutenant major, whatever, And so he shoots the thing, blows up the side of Godzilla's face. Godzilla just goes limp.
They kill him.
Into the water, and they kill him. And it's a great scene. And then what's even better is he starts to regenerate thanks to his nuclear abilities. And they all say cuss words in Japanese, which is great. Because that's exactly what you would say if you saw that happening. And then he's back, and he looks pissed. And the thing is, this is the Godzilla that looks just like the man in the suit, except done like realistically, but still looks like it could have been a man in it. A man could have gotten a suit and gone as Godzilla still. And they said, okay, let's take the original look, but let's make it like an actual lizard looking. And it looks fantastic. if you notice, his face was always discolored. That's the other thing I love. There's a discolorization on that side of his face throughout the rest of the movie, because even though it healed back, the skin's going to take a while to heal in the few days that they've gone after him, and I love that too. Him attacking the boat is so good. That battleship in that scene, so good. And by the way, I hear there's an English dub. I didn't know that. I watched the subtitle one, and I'll be honest.
I would recommend that. I've done the I mean, the dub is okay. Watching with the kids.
Yeah.
But the Japanese is
Japanese fine because you can read it.
Get better acting
because they don't talk that much during Godzilla.
Yeah.
And if they do, you don't care. You get the gist of what they're saying. You're just watching Godzilla.
You're getting the better emotion from the actors through the Japanese.
Godzilla throws when they know Godzilla's on his way to the coast, and they throw that ship, and you see that picture of that ship flying through the air on flames into a building. That looked excellent. That looked real. I was like, wow, that is such a good scene. Not nowadays when you see something, go, oh, CGI. Okay, here's the CGI scene. But I didn't feel that way anytime, even during his attack in the town, which, it's the classic scene. Everyone's running, screaming in the streets. He's stomping through them. But this time is like you could really imagine yourself being like the news reporters on the roof.
Yeah. Well, which I'm sure is a callback to the original American King of the Monsters.
Okay. I didn't know
Raymond
that.
Burr.
Oh, wow. The 1985?
No. I'm talking about the original.
Okay.
The thing is, there's the original Japanese version, and then when it came to America, they Englishized it and threw some American scenes in there with an American reporter visiting Japan, and those were all added.
Got it. Well, that was good to see him tearing through the place. We see his first burst of nuclear
Which
energy.
was probably the best.
I'm telling you what.
The thing is, Shin Godzilla had some fun, releasing of energy, but
that was just excellent.
This was the most awe-inspiring.
Like when he goes underwater and just light just shoots out and destroys the ship. Great scene. And then we see him actually shoot it. And then we see this big old nuclear wave blast hit away and just blow away most of the buildings.
Godzilla, it's a callback. The original Godzilla movie was made because Japanese people could not make movies about the war. Godzilla is American because Godzilla represents America.
He destroys, lays waste.
He represented the bombing of Japan. It was a movie about the bombing of Japan. Watch the original. I mean, the original Japanese version more so than the King of the Monsters Americanized version, which is phenomenal. But Godzilla, is a stand-in for America bombing Japan, and so this was the first atomic bomb breath we've seen. It wasn't just a big fire coming out. It was,
And it looks great. It looks terrifying. You feel because you're following the main character as he's running through the streets and as he escapes. And I love movies that make you think, wow, what would I do in that situation? And you feel, it's almost like you put yourself in that situation. And when he gets up and he's just watching Godzilla as he's looking over the destruction and going, okay, I'm good. That's just great. And Godzilla is pissed in this whole movie, and it's great. It's great. He's pissed. Probably, obviously, the best scene is at the end. That half-frozen Godzilla who's powering up and is balling his fist up and has his chest spread out and everything as he's about to unload all heck onto him. That's probably the best Godzilla scene I've ever seen in my entire life. That is so good. Because when you're watching it, you're crapping your pants. It is menacing. It is so, the scene I'm talking about where his eyes even are going like, he's like, I am going to destroy all of you now. Because it takes a second for him to recharge, but they think they killed him. Unfortunately, there is an issue with him. They're trying to freeze him, which is a great plan. I love it. And as he comes out, the nitrogen in the air is freezing his body up, but not before he's going to get one good shot in at him. And just how scary he looks at this point, because he's got this freezer burn look on his skin, and he's just so, I mean, I could watch that scene a million times. My son watched this with me a little bit. Left when it was the talking scenes, but it was
Which what you do
Godzilla.
at
He was
that
like,
age.
Dad. He's like looking at me like, what is
Doug,
that?
Hey, have you watched the new Empire with him yet?
Oh, I don't know, but
He's ready. He sounds like he's ready.
I know.
They never stop on the people.
Well, he'll love King Kong because monkeys are really cool too. But that was just a great scene. That was a great scene. Ends with, of course, they destroy him. He blows up on his, because of his energy, he's trapped in there. Oh no, the kamikaze pilot but escapes, but blows up his head.
But I will say, I was good a narrative going through because at first, when he finds that engineer, he brings
the engineer comes back,
and they're really playing it like the engineer was like the only reason he's doing this. Okay, you should have died then.
You're dying now.
I'm going to help you die now. That's the way they play it, but it's layered. With the engineer, he's already grown past war, and he's just like, dude, you don't have to die. We got the problem. We got to fix it. And I'm making this situation where you can get away from it too. We were wrong. We shouldn't have acted that way. In a lot of ways, the original Godzilla being about the American attack. This movie is yes, the American attack is bad, but it's also
we're over it.
It feels like they're like not so much that they're over it. It's just like it's like we brought this on ourselves. We were bloodthirsty. We were wrong, and we need to move past that. That was another narrative of the film that I thought was just fantastic.
But we find out that when he crashes his plane in, he has a parachute. And you're thinking, what happened? Is he a coward again? But then we find the engineer. They do the flashback where the engineer goes back to that same hangar where they had a scene earlier, and now he's telling about there's an ejection seat, and you should use it. And that gives him the whole speech, which we're talking about, which is very good, very good. And then, of course, at the end, Godzilla's regenerating under the water slowly because he's in a million pieces.
There's talk of the sequel. We will have to wait and see.
I would watch it in a heartbeat. I think Godzilla -1 is a must for any fan. If you like the new Godzilla,
like movies, go watch it.
If you liked any of the Godzilla Kong movies, then you're going to embarrass yourself when you watch Godzilla
Don't judge
-1.
any more of these American movies off of -1. I have to tell everybody, New Empire, fun movie. Don't judge it against -1. Completely different genre of film. One is a movie. One is a film, a piece of art.
I get.
Who was robbed, in the Academy Awards?
Oh my goodness! But I think that movie was more Kong than Godzilla. By the way,
I mean,
I feel it was
so was Godzilla versus Kong, but
well, I thought that one was a little bit more even.
This was
Stevens.
When we talked about the show, I said Godzilla was pretty much a guest star in this one,
and Mothma was a waste. I felt like they built up Mothma the whole time. And
who's Mothma?
Oh, was it Mothra?
It's
okay,
big moth.
Yeah, and it was nothing. That's how important Mothra was. But you remember they teased that one in the cave like a long time ago, didn't they? I can't remember. Wasn't there a movie they?
Well, we had the movie with Mothra, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, with King Ghidorah and Rodan, and Mothra.
So you like -1? Is it your favorite Godzilla movie though?
I probably have to call it so. Yeah.
Oh really? Okay, I didn't know you do it too. What other Godzilla movies are top shelf?
I mean, the original for sure.
Originals up there. Shin Godzilla's up there. You really like Shin Godzilla. Yes. I forgot to mention that.
That's and then I really like a lot of the 2000 era Japanese movies. All Out Attack. It's fantastic. Another real evil Godzilla. Godzilla versus Destroyer. It's another really good one from the 90s. It's hard to call any of the 70s ones great. I love them. They're super fun. They're not movies I recommend to people because they're so cheesy and corny.
They were the ones that played on TBS back in the day.
You have to already like the genre to enjoy them.
Talking about Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla?
I mean, that one's actually one of the better ones.
I love that one, actually.
Godzilla versus Megalon, that's the one where he rears up on his tail and drops kicks and a lot of wrestling moves.
I love that one.
Hey,
is that the one where he gets up on his tail and then travels on his tail kicking?
Yes. I mean, the thing is, not everybody is ready for that.
My goodness, I loved those movies. Those were straight my alley. When TBS would annually play Godzilla versus Kong, we'd always watch it, and I always hated that Kong won in a way. You know,
mad about that ever since I was a child.
I hated that one. But watching the movie again, I was like, oh, you know what?
It's fun.
Movie's pretty boring until you get to the Kong Godzilla fight, and then that's what makes it fun. Two grown men fighting in suits in a miniature world. Who wouldn't want that? But the movie's still fun. But I have a soft spot for all those 70s
I like
films.
the really bad ones, but at the same time, they're not the ones I go recommend to people.
No, I guess not. If you don't have any sense of humor and you don't like to have fun in your life, don't watch those. What's the worst one?
Part of me wants to say Final Wars, which was the end of the 2000 era.
Just wasn't as good.
It focused too much on the people. It had all the monsters. It brought in all the monsters.
This is the one that brought in the 90...
Brought in Gino.
Matthew Broderick. Okay, yeah.
And it was just bad. It was, it's hard to, too much. It was too inspired by The Matrix. They had the people fighting people for, like, I'm not going to see a Godzilla movie to watch kung fu fights.
Oh, wow.
Over stylized kung fu fights that aren't that great.
Well, they really missed the point of what Godzilla was all about.
Yeah, and that was supposed to be the end of the whole Godzilla era. That's why they ended that. That was the end of Godzilla until America brought him back in 2014. And it was a very not great ending.
So, how do they share the rights of Godzilla?
I don't know the details. I do know that
because obviously they have the rights to bring
yeah.
in the American stuff, and Americans have the right to. I don't know.
I don't know exactly. All I know, I did hear when they first released Shin Godzilla that Legendary was upset with them. It's like, hey, y'all not supposed to be making Godzilla movies right now, but they couldn't stop them. And they made another one. And it's not hurting the American Godzilla movies, obviously, because they're making bank right now. One of the few movies that can make money right now.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I always wonder how they could share.
But the thing is, Shin Godzilla was just like 1 or 2 nights in theaters. This one lasted longer, minus one, just because it was doing so well. They kept extending it out, but it's not competing with the American one. So I guess they figured, hey, let them do what they're going to do.
So are they doing another one, another New Empire one?
Yeah, there will be more Godzilla movies. I did hear that they're changing out directors. It's not going to be the same director as the last two.
Oh, really?
But but also supposedly they will focus on Godzilla. We'll see.
So they'll move away from Kong now, or
no? I mean, it'll still be Godzilla x Kong.
Oh, boy.
But they're gonna, supposedly it'll be more Godzilla focused versus the last two.
Will it say this time with less actors? I don't even
know
know why.
No actors.
You know what? That's what they need to be doing now. That's all they need to do is just have them smash each other. I'm thinking. I mean, the New Empire one was fun. I agree with you. Just the fights and everything were fun. I don't mind it being on Kong a lot. It was nice that Godzilla's powering up for a big fight. That's great. And that Godzilla finds the apes. That's great too. There's a lot of good scenes. But at the same time, I knew I wasn't going to care about the humans, and I think the story knew that too.
Yeah.
Because they're like, you know what? Just screw it. Just screw it. We won't really give them that much.
They're not coming for the people.
Yeah. So, and I mean, you have and it's speaking of the New Empire, the podcaster that's in the new movie. Okay, boy, that is a character straight out of the 90s. Straight out of the 90s,
Yes.
Conspiracy theorist. This is the guy who has his own radio show. If this was the 90s, he'd have his own radio show. And he's the expert. He's the late night radio talk show host, the conspiracy theorist. And he gets invited, but he wants a ticket into the, Middle Earth or whatever. And so Hollow Earth. And so he gets to go, and he's the one making cracks and making the jokes that everyone's supposed to laugh at. I mean, beat for beat. It has he's the guy that makes the, we should run, right? We should run, and all, ooh, that's nasty, all making he's the audience, comic relief where the audience should be laughing. But it felt just like punchline and go. All right, move on.
Yeah.
Punchline, end scene, because he says He says it to the little
he
kid.
was a character
You're not
from
scared?
Bad
I'm
Bones
scared.
movies.
And
You're right.
he's the guy walking behind them, complaining at the end in front of the camera. But I mean, I was like, wow, this is classic, straight out of a 90s movie. Like, there's only 1.5 billion characters that have come who act just like him.
And just when you think we've moved past that movie making, they bring it back.
And they bring it back, and I mean, they brought it right back and didn't change a thing. Like, maybe he's the one who actually knows stuff and he's the hero or what. No, he's just the comic relief, and that's how always going to be regulated to. And I was like, wow, that is so wild. So, I mean, they don't even attempt to make these characters original, or because we got to throw some romance in there, a chance at romance. But guess what? Nobody cares if they get together. Nobody cares if they get together. So, I don't know. They're making another Jurassic World, I heard.
Yes.
They should stop.
Yeah.
Jurassic World.
I had fun with the last Jurassic
I'm so
World.
glad the last 3 came out, because now Jurassic Park 3 is the third best Jurassic movie ever. When was the last time you saw Jurassic Park 3? It's good. It's better than Jurassic World.
I mean, I'd never disliked 3.
I never disliked 3 either. I did think it was a step below the others. And then watching them again, I can't remember the last time we watched them. It may have been, I don't know, maybe before the third Jurassic World came out. No, I mean when Megan and I watched them through again. And we watched 3. Well, we watched 2, and 2 is a lot better than I remembered. It's a lot better. It
People
got
crapped on
shortchanged.
it. I always thought it was shortchanged.
I think it didn't plant the ending. Dinosaurs loose in
Yeah.
the city was kind of, I mean, I know they had to do something different. But overall, when they're traveling back there, there's some great scenes, some intense scenes. The bus, the cracking glass, a lot of good stuff. And then you go to 3, and Megan didn't remember.
Got the annoying kid.
Yeah, Megan didn't remember at all, but went, this is actually pretty good. I went, this is very good. This is like a very, and that is, it's funny because the going to save the kid is the only made up.
Yeah.
It's the storyline that connected all of these. The scenes are all from the Jurassic Park novels.
Yes.
Every unused scene that wasn't in the first 2 movies, they said, okay, what are the cool scenes from the first 2 books that we didn't film? Okay, how can we string a story through this? Because it's the T-Rex that's following the kids.
Yeah.
Instead of the whatever Saurus. And they did go through the pterodactyls in the first book.
Yeah.
And the rich people did get eaten on the beach, or their little girl did get eaten on the beach, or come across one of the little things on the beach. And that's how they discovered that there's something going on the island. Those are all scenes from his first 2 novels, which, by the way, the novels are fantastic.
Wonderful.
I read one thing I want to mention here real quick. I was on a book club where we reviewed the Godzilla book and the 99 Godzilla, and
So,
it was
98
terrible. 98 Godzilla, and it was horrible. I was embarrassed how bad it was and ashamed. But then we had found on the stream, and then you had later told me that this guy, this was almost one of his first books he got big on. And then he did Independence Day. Well, then he got the rights to write some Independence Day sequels.
Yeah.
Or prequels. Well, I can't remember what
They were more prequel.
Prequel, okay. Independence Day prequels, like 2 or 3 books. And you have read them.
I read them when they came out.
Wow.
I mean, so I got kind of dusty memory.
What do you remember?
I mean, they basically folled the scientist.
Okay, yeah, I know
the guy
who you're
that was
talking
in
about.
Star Trek.
Yeah, Data, yeah.
Data, yes, the guy played Data.
So it's back here in the
going
70s.
Into, Area 51. It had a little bit of what we go right after the movie, but mostly was all the aliens that they captured, and they had at the facility. But more than that, I couldn't tell you.
Okay, but did you enjoy them?
I remember liking them.
Okay.
I'm just
No, I was just shocked that you'd read them. You had told me later on. You'd text me after you watched the show, and you said you'd read them. I was like, wow. But that was interesting. But he wrote like 2 or 3 of them.
I want to think.
So I guess that's where those were. I guess they were selling good enough to where he could make
There
more.
was more than one.
So good for him. But man, that Godzilla one was a waste of time, because the whole time I said this would have been the perfect book to show the scenes from Godzilla's point of view.
Which
would
I
have
like
been
it.
awesome.
I like it in novelizations when you get the creature's perspective.
Yes.
When it's written well and you get something that, okay, that's how the creature is thinking.
And since we don't know what the creature was doing the whole time, this book could have been the perfect complementary novel to the movie. It would have been perfect. But it miffed, and he just basically made it from the script. But it made it worse. Just made it worse. So, yeah, not that good. But anyway, so Godzilla -1 streaming on Amazon,
Netflix.
And so if you've seen it, tell us what you thought about it in the comments below. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
It's awesome.
And we'll see you next time on Princes of the Universe. You want to do the Godzilla theme song? The cartoon Godzilla?
I've done it before.